Now let's look at common divisibility rules. For this lesson, I've uploaded a numbers chart from 1 to 100. It's also included on the lesson page if you want to download or print this out and do the exercise as well. I've taken a couple of markers and I've made some marks for each, or for some of the numbers, 1 through 50. I could, of course, go to 100, but I think going to 1 or to 50 would be enough. Let's go ahead and look at some divisibility rules for 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, and 25. First off, we need to know about even and odd numbers. Even numbers are divisible by 2. And so if we look at the yellow circles, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And then we're going to continue on, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. These are all even numbers because they're divisible by 2. Now, notice that there is a pattern for numbers that are divisible by 2. In the ones place, you'll have either a 2, as in 2, 12, 22, 32, 42, and so on, as well as 4, 14, 24, 34, and so on, as well as 6, and you can see all of these numbers end in 6, or 8, 18, 28, 38, 48, and also numbers that end in 0, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and so on. All of these numbers are divisible by 2. If the digit in the ones place are 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0, you know that they are divisible by 2 and therefore are even numbers. Now, numbers that are divisible by 3 are marked with the red triangle, and I've listed or I've marked the ones to 48. And so you can see we're counting by 3s, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, and then we start at 33 again. Notice that the pattern is not like each row with 2s, okay? We're actually skipping a couple of rows, and then we're going to repeat our pattern. 3, 6, 9, so 33, 36, 39, and then here's 12, 15, 18, 42, 45, 48, and if we continued on, we would get, like 21, we would have 51, like 24, we would have 54, like 27, we would have 57, and like 30, we would have 60. But there is another way that we can figure out if a number is divisible by 3 by looking at the digits themselves. Now, beyond this first row where we just have single digits, if we look at number 12, there is a trick for deciding if this is also divisible by 3. And of course, this one would be fairly easy because if you know your multiplication facts, you'll just know that this is divisible by 3. But the trick is that if you were to add the digits that make up the number 12, for instance, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2 equals 3. And since 3 is divisible by 3, 12 is also divisible by 3. Let's look at another number and see if that's also correct. Let's skip around and look at number 27. If we add the 2 and the 7 together, we get 9. 2 plus 7 equals 9. Now 9 is divisible by 3, and so 27 is also divisible by 3. What about 54? 5 plus 4 is 9, and 9 again is divisible by 3. Let's see if there's another that we can think of. How about 84? 8 plus 4 is 12, and 12 is divisible by 3. Anyway, that's just a little trick that you can use to identify numbers that are divisible by 3. Now, if we look at the number 6, if we want to find out if a number is divisible by 6, the factors that make up 6 are, of course, 1 and 6, but also 2 and 3. So if you can divide the number by 2 and 3, then that number will be, will be divisible by 6. So if you look on my chart, I know that they're divisible by 2 because they have circles around them. And I know that they're divisible by 3 because they have a triangle around them. You can see that the first number that's divisible by 6 is 6. And we know that the multiples of 6 are 6 and 12 and 18 and 24 and 30. And we could keep going. We're going to get to 36, 42, 48, and so on. Now, 6 is divisible by 2. It has the circle, it's divisible by 2, and it has the triangle, it's divided by 3. And so that's a trick to figure out if a number is divisible by 6. So let's pick a number, let's say we pick 96. Now, 96 is divisible by 2 because it's an even number. But is it divisible by 3? Well, 9 plus 6 is 15, and I know that 15 is divisible by 3. So this would have both a circle and a triangle surrounding it if I were to, continue drawing out the patterns. So 96 is divisible by 6. Now, of course, I could just divide 96 by 6 to figure out if, to determine whether that is divisible by 6 or not. But it is nice to know tricks. Okay, let's look at some others. For instance, number 5. Now, all the numbers that are divisible by 5 have a box written around them, a green box. And you can see for each row there's 2 numbers. There's a number that ends in 5 and a number that ends in 0. So 5 and 10 are divisible by 5, 15 and 20, 25 and 30, 35 and 40, 45 and 50. And I could keep going. Any number that has a 5 or a 0 in the ones place will be divisible by 5. Now, numbers that are divisible by 10 will only end in zeros. And so we could go ahead and highlight these numbers. We have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. These numbers are divisible by 10 because they end in 0. Notice 100 is also divisible by 10, even though it has 2 zeros at the end. Because that last digit is a 0, it is divisible by 10. The last number I want to talk about briefly is numbers that are divisible by 25. And I'm going to use my blue highlighter. And these are numbers that in which the last 2 digits are divisible by 25. So for instance, 25, and then we have 50, 75, and 100. In regards to numbers divisible by 25, you can refer to money, 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents, $1. All of these are divisible by 25. What about 125? That's also divisible by 25.